In order to be able to successfully paint or draw something, we really truly have to understand our subject. And therefore, what I'd like to start with in this session is to create forms that are representing certain type of roses. So these are going to be really simplified geometric forms, but it will help you to understand what you are drawing. And this is really important to see beyond detail. For example, in this case, in roses and most flowers, the detail would be the petals. And that's usually the first thing the student notices is petals. However, what we have to understand is the underlying structure in order to be able to really truly recreate them on paper or canvas. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to demonstrate several different type of roses because they all have different shapes and different structures. So I'd like to start with a typical garden rose. And if you really carefully look at it, at the reference picture, is the base of this rose is a pentagon shape. And within that shape, the center itself is basically a cylinder. And we see this particular rose in a little bit of an angle. So we're gonna see a little bit more of that cylinder of the sides. And beyond that, there is one more shape that's surrounding the center, and that could be a simple triangle or triangular cone. Or you could also, again, create something different depending on how you see this. The bottom line is the most important part is to simplify. So I could also simplify this into a square shape that's surrounding this cylindrical center. And this is basically what you want to do, just to come down to the basic structure. So the next one would be, let's see, another English rose. So the center part is again cylindrical, and you can see, because this is again a photo of an angle shot, so you can see the cylinder. And this cylinder is actually, since this is still in kind of a budding stage, it's more of a triangular shape than a pentagon. And of course it depends on the type of rose too. This might just be the kind that is this particular shape. And if you were looking at this even more sideways, you could see the triangle coming down into one, merging down into one point to create the cone. But from this angle is pretty much just a triangle, so I'm not gonna draw anything else here. So the next rose is going to be something different again. It's more of a cup or bowl shape in the middle, and this is facing a little bit to the right, and still I can pick up a little bit of that side so I can see the shape. And underneath this little cup is basically what's surrounding those open petals, creating a form that's round, going around this little cup. So you could almost imagine this as a teacup sitting on a plate. And let's see another one. So these type of roses are actually really similar in appearance to peonies, but these are actually not peonies but roses. And similar to the previous one, there is a cup shape on this picture. It's facing us, so we're not gonna see a whole lot of the side. And again, the petals are creating a circle around the whole center part. And let's go on to the next one. So this one is a very interesting rose. It's not a typical one. There are several different shapes. Let's start with the outside perimeter of this rose. And it looks something like this. Now the inside, there is a triangular shape. And within that triangle, there is a cone facing us. So this would be the tip of the cone right there. But this is the type of simplification that you really need to do and understand in order to understand the form of each individual rose. So this one is basically, again, something similar to a cup, but also you could do this by creating different angles. This is a little bit more of an angular rose. Facing to the left, and then sideways in sideways view, ignoring the petals, is something like this, what you would see. And then the bottom petals, since this is a fully open flower, they're kind of pointing downwards and creating a shape similar to that. And then there's another budding rose. I'm gonna turn my page. So this one is a garden rose bud, and you could put it into a pentagon shape, or you could also use a rectangle shape. And within that rectangle, there is a cone that when it's fully open or mostly open, it's going to become more of a cylinder. At this point, you could represent it by creating a cone that's starting to open up on the top. And Next is another rose that started to open up. So this one is again a cup or bowl shape, but since it's a sideways view and opened up quite a bit, we're going to have two separate cups within one form. And let's see if I can find a few more. That's okay. There is another one. This is again a different type of rose. And I don't have the particular names because many of the names are fantasy names. They're not really describing a particular type of rose. It's just lots of different names people came up with over the years. So again, these are similarly cup-shaped, just from different angles. And this one I'm looking at is a deeper cup, a little bit more elongated. And finally, let's see, I think I had one more that looked a little bit different than the rest. And this one is again a budding rose. So we have the cone, and that's really the main structure here. And of course, when you start to work on the petals, you just have to double check how the petal interacts with this main form. Where does it overlap and how far it goes in order to create. So this particular one, once you start to break it down into petals, which is a dangerous game, you have to really pay attention not to overdo it and really just capture the most important elements. But it would look something like this. And of course, since this is an overlapping petal, it would be over there. And these few examples really summarize a very wide range of different roses and the main shape structures. So what I would like you to do is to either find yourself different type of rose pictures, or you can use the same ones I've used and just try to repeat or create your own drawings, at least 5 to 10 different type of roses, to get a really good sense of the main structure and build up. That will help you tremendously. So in the next demonstration, I'm going to do this, do at least 3 individual roses from start to finish, and explain all the steps what I'm doing to build up an actual rose.